So we are taking the time to do something that we don't normally take the time out to do, which is to taste 3 different seasons from the same farm. In this case, our source of Shanlinxi high mountain oolong tea. We have summer, fall, and winter harvest 2019, and we brewed 9 grams of tea leaves for 1 minute twice. We have the first brew and the second brew. And we have the leaves out here on display. We were just checking them out. And it's always an educational experience, to say the least. Very interesting to look back in retrospect on how the harvests were experienced by us one by one, and now to see them all lined up side by side. The summer harvest was quite good, we remember, and looking at it now, it looks like the leaves were properly matured, not overly matured, picked at the right time, basically, and oxidized, but not well oxidized, so more of a standard high mountain oolong tea. The fall harvest is relatively more mature. The stems are bigger, which can offer more substance of flavor. It all comes down to how the leaves are processed in the end. There definitely are more oxidized than the summer leaves as well. And the winter harvest is the least mature, at least in appearance, of the leaves. They're smaller, and that had to do with the growing season. This winter there was very small yield overall, and the leaves that did grow didn't grow very much. So they were picked looking like they were young, even though they had time to grow. They just didn't grow to their full size. So there we have it. We took a little whiff of each cup after the leaves were put onto the trays. It's kind of fainter now. They're all cooled down. Winter is definitely the most fragrant. It makes sense. It's the freshest. It's only been, let's see, December, January, about 2 months since the harvest, a little over 2 months. We haven't tasted them yet. So we're going to go ahead and taste the first brew of the summer batch here. Still nice and fresh, which is a nice thing to experience. There are times when you open a sample bag even. These were all vacuum sealed. I just opened them. And things change even within an airtight environment, especially with lightly oxidized, unroasted teas. And it basically comes down to how well they've been dried, how little moisture is left in the leaves. The more moisture there is, the more tendency there is for the flavor profile to transform. We're going to go ahead and taste the second brew of the same batch of tea. Go in this progression. Much more substantial. We kind of guessed it. The appearance of the tea is a bit darker, a little bit more viscous in the second brew. A nice, still fresh, kind of foresty character, a little bit savory, herbal character. Quite nice. Summer tea, that's a good batch, as we remembered it. I got chills. Okay, I'm going to move quickly here and move right into the fall batch. Quite a bit darker, orangey. I remember my friend who oversaw the processing of the tea. He said that he asked the supervisor of the rolling factory to put it through the drying machine a few extra times to make sure these leaves were fully dried. And now looking at the tea, I am guessing, and I will ask this question of him, part of the reason he asked to do that was because of the level of oxidation in the leaves. Definitely a mellower brew, a more oxidized character, straight up, you know, compared to the summer brew. It's a more pastry flavor, still fragrant, still aromatic, but definitely a different profile, distinctly. Fruity. Yeah, fruity pastry. Perhaps that dry, the going through the drying machine the extra times gave it just the beginning of the sense of a roasted character. It's definitely not toasted at all. It's just that kind of scone, fresh scone character coming through, along with some stone fruit, more of a cooked stone fruit, plum cobbler, something like that. Okay, here we go, winter. November 2019 harvest. Winter tea. It's good. Even though the leaves haven't matured or weren't able to mature fully, they have that slow growth winter character. There's just something to it. Something about this kind of deeper forest character that comes through. And it's rare in recent years to get a winter harvest that has what we used to know, especially 20, even 30 years ago when high mountain tea was first coming on, becoming popular in Taiwan. The winter tea was the bomb. It was so good and so substantial and so effervescent, but not this flowery, floral sense. It was deeper than that, this foresty green. More substance on the palate, smoother on the second brew. Really fun to just go through it like that, 1, 2, 3, and experience the different characters from the same farm, same tea makers. They're working with the batches as they come in on the day of harvest, given the growing season, the conditions during the growing season, the conditions, the weather conditions on the day of harvest, as they're processing, and how the leaves behave as they're being processed. All of that happens. It's a very dynamic process. And it continues to be dynamic right up until this moment. Tea is a living thing, and that's what, to get down to it on this level is really a sense of fulfillment and a sense of appreciation for the artisan culture. Even with this modern incarnation of artisan culture, and I say that meaning the high mountain tea making industry here in Taiwan, they've moved into a different character of tea compared to 30, 40, and prior to that years ago. But there are serious skills going on here, and it's more about the knowledge and experience that goes into the assessment of the raw material and how it's made. Thanks for being with us, and we'll see you again soon.